Hello friends, welcome back to the League of 72. My name is James Alcott, and in this video we're going to be putting forward a player of the season so far for every championship club. If you don't know about the League of 72, then welcome. You've found a very, very good channel if you're an EFL fan. We've already done League 2 and League 1 when it comes to player of the season so far, so make sure you go and check out those videos. And so that you don't miss out when we talk about your team next, make sure you subscribe to the League of 72. Right, let's get into it. Barnsley, Michal Helik. Now, it's been a hellish... Sorry, you're probably not funny, that one, for you Barnsley fans. But it's been quite a hellish season for Barnsley as of date. But it's no secret that Helik has been really, really solid and really important in some of the games where you have been able to pick up points so far this season. Crucial in the games against Peterborough, West Brom and Derby County. If Barnsley are able to achieve the impossible and stay up this year, it will be down to some very, very impressive and heroic appearances from Michal Helik. Birmingham City, Marc Roberts, the most consistent-ish player of quite a up and down Birmingham City this year. It's been a bit of a rollercoaster season for Birmingham City and the playing staff, and exciting starts, then horrible runs of games where it's gone wrong, and there's been a lot of players that have struggled, been very up and down, and I think a lot of people would have expected a bit more from Birmingham City this year, which kind of says a lot when you're putting Marc Roberts forward as the player of the season so far. Very consistent as a right-back or as a centre-back for Birmingham so far this season. 9 clean sheets he's been a part of as well, but it's almost... It sounds harsh, but it's kind of damning that Marc Roberts is the player of the season so far for Birmingham, with so much talent elsewhere. Blackburn Rovers, Ben Brereton-Diaz, his goals have been so important. There are some other names you can put forward for Blackburn Rovers who are having a good season so far, like Lewis Travis, John Buckley, Joe Rothwell as well, but those goals have just been so important. He's really gone to this new level this year. He's scoring every 86 minutes for Blackburn Rovers, which has coincided with that incredible push towards the automatic promotion places, and kind of come from nowhere a little bit, but his performances have been consistent throughout. An amazing asset for Blackburn Rovers at the age of 22, and he's having a stellar year, a breakthrough year almost. Blackpool, Keshi Anderson, he's taken to the championship like a duck to water. He'd never played at the championship level, but you wouldn't have noticed. He's been absolutely fantastic for Blackpool. We're having a great season themselves. A lot of people were slightly concerned, could they stay up and step up to the championship level? They've been absolutely fine, as has Keshi Anderson, that winger with the ability to create and score goals, but also to defend and to press. He's a really crucial asset for Neil Critchley's side that is always very disciplined without the ball, and he's been fantastic. An excellent player to watch and one to keep an eye on for the future. Bournemouth, I'm going to go with Jaidon Anthony. For where he was a year ago, it's pretty astounding what he's achieved in a jam-packed Bournemouth squad of stars, really. There are a few players in that Bournemouth side that have been able to come as far as he has done so this season. Scott Park himself, in the interview that we did with him, he said himself he was surprised he didn't know that much about him going into his first year at Bournemouth, and he's done brilliantly. There are other names, of course. It's been a good season for Bournemouth, like some Philip Billings scoring goals, Dominic Solanke scoring goals, Mark Travers in goal as well. But I think for him to go from having made 5 appearances to now being an integral part of the team on that left-hand side with Jordan Zamora, he's done fantastic, the winger, and he's set for a very, very bright future ahead of him. Bristol City, Andreas Weimann, he's in the form of his life. I think it would be fair to say, certainly in terms of output. He's a player who's had his struggles at times with injuries. Of course, last year missed a large portion of the season. But this year, 19 goal contributions, 14 goals and 5 assists in 29 appearances at the time of recording. He's been absolutely brilliant. Playing on the shoulder, but also got that quality technically as well. He's been brilliant for the Robins this year, as demonstrated by that hat-trick against Millwall this season. I think the Austrian's always felt like he's Premier League quality, and this season, now that he's fit and healthy and an integral part of this Bristol City side, he's showing it. Cardiff City, Joe Ralls has been a cut above the rest for Cardiff City this year. Even with Cardiff struggles, when Joe Ralls has got the ball, it just looks a little bit easier for them. Fantastic with the ball. His chance creation has been really, really strong, and just being that outlet for the team with his technical ability a lot of the time. If you think with Tommy Doyle coming in now into midfield, you've now got an exciting midfield there that can be a lot better in the attacking phase when counter-attacking. Coventry City, really tough pick this one. You've got lots of options here. Gustavo Hamer, Callum O'Hare, the likes of Matt Godden. But I'm going to go with Victor Gyökeres just because I think he's just been very consistent for the team. I think you were hoping that he would come in and do well despite, previous years struggling at the Championship level in terms of having the opportunity, and now getting the opportunity at Coventry City. He's been brilliant, really. 13 goal contributions, 10 goals, 3 assists so far this season. You are splitting hairs a little bit when it comes to him and Matt Godden up top, and it'll be interesting to see who scores the most goals by the end of the season, and if we go for another name. But at this moment in time, I'm going to go for Victor Gyökeres. Derby County, this is really, really tough. Maybe not as many different options, but in Curtis Davies and Tom Lawrence, I think you've got two players at both ends of the pitch that have just been so integral in terms of keeping the momentum alive for Derby County as they look to try and survive this season. I think I'm going to give it to Curtis Davies at this moment in time, although at the end of the season we might be looking at it and going, Tom Lawrence with those goals that kept them up was the player of the season. But with Curtis Davies, his ability to organise, I know he's had a bit of experience alongside him, but he's been incredibly consistent, and that's been the platform that Derby have been able to sort of base their sort of ability to get points, really. And without that defence, without those clean sheets, you don't draw as many of these games. You've got to stay in the fight, and that's what Curtis Davies has been able to do by organising those around him. Fulham, Aleksandar Mitrovic. I mean, this is a pretty easy one. The guy's going to be a record breaker. I know it's a dangerous thing for me to say. Fulham fans won't like me saying it. QPR fans probably will like me saying it. But Mitrovic is guaranteed, surely, to break the Championship goal record this season, and therefore he has to be the player of the season. At the time of recording, 28 goals for Fulham so far in the Championship. The next best is 8, and this is for a team that's littered with quality. Harry Wilson's been great. Nishkin's Cabano has been fantastic as well, but we can't look past Mitrovic. Oh, and by the way, if you haven't checked out the video where we analyse every goal that Mitrovic has scored this season, then go and check that out. It's on the channel right now. Huddersfield Town, Lewis O'Brien, just pipping Sorba Thomas. Sorba Thomas, of course, has had that output. But I'm going to go with Lewis O'Brien just to highlight, I mean, the fact that the guy's got incredible stamina. He's a great box-to-box midfielder. He's created a lovely double pivot there with Jonathan Hogg, and he's only 23 years old. He's destined for a big move sooner or later if Huddersfield Town can't get themselves up through the Championship this season. I think sooner or later he is destined to play at the highest level. He's got such great stamina and technical ability and the ability to drive the ball through the thirds, and he's been really, really impressive for Huddersfield this season. Hull City, George Honeyman, he's been a key man for the Tigers so far this season. Such a leader for the club. Obviously was fantastic in the team that got promoted as champions last season from League One. And this year, after a very difficult start, Hull City have found their feet, and George Honeyman's been huge in terms of the creativity of that. Playing in that number 10 role in a 3-5-2, it looks like Shota Arveladze will continue with that 3-5-2, which will allow him to flourish, persistently averaging between 1.5 and 2 key passes every single match. When he isn't playing for Hull City, they are really struggling for that drive, thrust and creativity that he provides. And he's probably one of the most underrated players in the division so far this year. Luton Town, Kal Naismith, you've got to love his versatility. Left back, centre back, left wing back with a little bit of dabbling of winger at times during his time at Luton Town. And some fans will remember that, of course, he played up front for Pompey back in 2017-18 as well. That versatility means that he's a very smart footballer, and he's been very, very important for Luton Town as they've charged up the league this year. Sonny Bradley would be an option as well, but he hasn't featured as much as Kal Naismith, so I'm going to give it to him. Sticking with versatility and Middlesbrough, we're going to go for Paddy McNair, whose ability to play along the back line is really important. And under Chris Wilder, I think we expected him to do great things, and that has rung true. There are other options, the likes of Matt Crooks and Isaiah Jones have been brilliant for them since Chris Wilder's come in. But that passing range that Paddy McNair has been able to utilise under Chris Wilder has been really, really impressive this year. He's been key once again. Millwall, Jed Wallace. It's always Jed Wallace, isn't it? But it has to be. He's the most important player at the club. He is indispensable for this Millwall side, who I think will be somewhat disappointed with how the season's gone. It's been slightly lacklustre for a team that had high expectations at the start of the season. Jed Wallace, though, continues to thrive at Millwall. The leader when it comes to big chances created. He has double the amount of key passes that any other player in the squad has. Sean Hutchinson's been a good contributor from centre-back, but it has to be Jed Wallace. Nottingham Forest, Jed Spence, fan favourite. I don't think anyone could have imagined that he would have done as well as he's done certainly under Steve Cooper, but being on loan from Middlesbrough, he's been absolutely fantastic. There are other notable mentions here. The likes of Brennan Johnson has been running defences ragged. Lewis Grabban is back in the goal since Steve Cooper arrived as well. But the quality of Jed Spence has got a lot of people looking at him at the moment, and understandably so. He's been superb. Peterborough United, I'm going to go with George Grant, who's taken the step up to the Championship in his stride. Of course, signed from Lincoln, who he had a great season with last year. And he's done really well in the Championship in midfield. I think it's not been a great season for Peterborough, of course, but he's become the fulcrum of the side. And with Dembele moving to Bournemouth, the creative burden now, between now and the end of the season, is going to be piled upon George Grant. He's going to be so important in terms of allowing Peterborough to get through the phases of play and transition up the pitch. Preston North End, Ben Whiteman, absolutely lovely player to watch. My kind of footballer. We did a video on Ryan Lowe and low ball and how he was going to implement that at Preston, and we said that Ben Whiteman would be a huge part of that. Make sure you go check out that video if you are a Preston North End fan. We said that Ben Whiteman was capable of playing in that 6 role, a really important area of the pitch for a Ryan Lowe side. And his attacking contribution is there for all to see in terms of his vision, his passing range, his quality on the ball, but also without the ball, averaging 3.5 tackles and interceptions per 90 as well. He's heavily influencing going forward and also defensively. At the time of writing, he scored 2 free kicks in the Championship as well. Lovely at taking free kicks, which makes him even more beautiful to watch. On to my team, Queen's Park Rangers, and it has to be Chrissy Willock. I mean, he's come in from Benfica, and straight away you thought you had a player there, but this year he's gone from strength to strength. So impressive, and taken on the burden that was put upon him once Ilias Chair, who has been his partner in crime this season when it comes to that creativity, left for the African Cup of Nations. There were a lot of concerns among QPR fans that would we be able to score goals, would we be able to create, but Chrissy Willock, 15 goal contributions so far this season, 9 assists, 6 goals. He's really stepped up. His overall play is fantastic. He never loses the ball. He's able to roll defenders and create things out of nothing. I love him. Reading, Jon Swift. Now, I know it's cooled off a little bit, but still, the goal-scoring feat of Jon Swift this season has been pretty special. And just generally, the whole evolution of him as a player, or revolution, he's changed into something very different from a guy who sort of kept the play ticking and scored the odd goal here and there, who had the capability of scoring goals, to sort of a number 10, you know, a second striker. His ability to sort of run into the box at the right time and have that little bit of that Frank Lampard-esque style to him in terms of arriving at the right time. He's already beaten his best ever goal scoring total and his best ever assist total, and he's got to be the player of the season so far for Reading. Sheffield United, Oliver Norwood has been putting in some very cultured performances, back to his best, certainly in the second half of the season so far, and so it's only going to get better for him. He's been able to sort of dominate the game as he had done previously when Sheffield United were last in the Championship. That pairing with Hourihane seems to be working really well, and he's got a lot of expected assists that he should have been able to cash in by now, but he hasn't. So expect him to run hot sooner or later. That's generally how it works. He's having a great season, creating a lot, and just dictating the tempo for Sheffield United, who are getting better and better week on week. Stoke City, I'm going to go for Mario Vrancic, whose season has been the mirror image of Stoke City, as it started off so well, but it's now starting to cool off a bit, but you still know there's a little bit of quality there left to be seen. In terms of creativity, one of the most creative players in the league, and the numbers back it up. At the time of recording, 2.3 key passes per 90, but at the start of the season, he was in the low 3s for that. It has cooled off a little bit, but there's been those moments of brilliance as well. At QPR, assisted and scored in that important win at the time, or we thought it was going to be important. And if it comes down the line and Stoke can recreate that form, as can Vrancic, then maybe, just maybe, they can sneak themselves back into the playoff picture. Swansea City, Flynn Downes is just playing with pure confidence this season. It might surprise a few people that haven't watched Swansea that much this season, but he has become an integral part of the midfield alongside Matty Grimes. The pair of them help Swansea tick, you know, high possession-based side, and those two have been very important, but I'm going to give it to Flynn Downes. And last but of course not least, West Bromwich Albion. I'm going to go for Conor Townsend. Now, he has had a few slip-ups at the back, but his output going forward for a team that hasn't been that traditionally offensive has been very, very impressive. His chance creation so far this season is the second highest of any West Brom player, and that's Conor Townsend, who of course is playing as a left wing back for West Brom this season. He's made a few mistakes, as I said, but those underlying creative numbers deserve more assists so far this season, but the chances haven't been taken. But his overall play has been really important, and West Brom have missed him when he hasn't been available. So there you have it. One player of the season so far, and I mean so far. We'll have a look at this at the end of the season, but let me know what you think. I've got two questions for you. First question, who is your player of the season so far for your team? Second question, who is a player that has impressed you from an opposing side? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe to the League of 72. Hit the like button as well, and I'll see you next time.